Hi, my name is Chanel McCool, and I just wanted to thank those of you who tuned in. I don't even know if tuned in is the right thing to say, but I just wanted to thank those of you who watched my first video that was on the importance of connection or why we need connection. Thank you for your grace, and thank you for your feedback, and thank you for your encouragement. I am now making a second video, and the first video obviously was about our need for connection, our need to feel a sense of belonging and to be loved. And so this week I want to talk about why we disconnect. And I believe a big reason that we disconnect is shame. I know in my personal life that is a huge reason why I've chosen to disconnect from others. Shame is really, in my mind, just the fear of disconnection. And shame is the fear that we're not good enough. I'm sure that there are many of you that can think of things in your own mind that at some point in your life you've thought to yourself, man, if somebody found this out, what would they think? Would they like me? Would they accept me? Would they love me? And maybe some of you are in that right now in your life, or even in your marriage. Maybe you're thinking, oh my gosh, if my husband or my wife found out about this thing, they wouldn't love me, they wouldn't accept me. And shame, it really just destroys or damages the part of you that believes you're capable of change, right? We're in this ever-ending process of change, of developing, of growing, and shame says you're incapable. Right? That thing that maybe you're struggling with, maybe you think you're incapable of overcoming that. And shame tells you that you are. But we know that's obviously not the truth. In the book of John, it talks about Satan being the father of lies. And I'm about to say something that's super simple, but in my mind, incredibly profound. I just wanted to say that a lie really only has power if you believe that lie. And you really only believe a lie if you're unaware of the truth. And again, I know. And I'm not talking about just like, you know this thing happened to you, right? Maybe an injustice happened and nobody knows about it. And in your mind, right, in your however old you are mind, you are aware that that thing is wrong. But maybe you're really unaware of the truth about it. And that's kind of the thing I'm talking about. Not just like the factual things, but I'm talking about the God-given truth about those things. And I believe that shame is the fear of disconnection. And if that is true, then I believe that vulnerability is the antidote to connect us back to ourselves, and to connect us back to those around us, which I believe is going to lead us to a greater level of intimacy with God and with others. And one of my favorite verses in the Bible is, the truth will set you free. Because I really do believe that. And I've experienced it in my personal lives and the lives of those around me. And with that being said, shame, it loses its power when it's spoken, right? The more you share your story, the more you share those dark things that you think cause you to be unlovable, the more you share them, the less shame has power over you. And shame isn't just listing facts about your life, right? Like I can sit here as a 30-year-old, and well, I'm not 30 yet, but I can sit here as a 29-year-old and I can tell you that my dad was a drug addict and that he left me as a little girl and never took an interest in my life. And my mom was a drug addict and in and out of my life. And I can list those things, but I can be completely emotionally detached from them. I'm talking about a vulnerability that allows you to go back into that time, right? For me to go back as that little girl and to feel the things I was unable to speak and to have compassion for that little girl. I believe that's really what vulnerability is. And I also think that if we ignore our pain, you can't have compassion at the same time, right? I can't just ignore the things that I've experienced. I can't ignore my pain and still have compassion for myself. And I think that you can't ignore shame without losing the ability to empathize with yourself and with others. And I do understand, you guys, I get it. Vulnerability is a huge risk, and it's a lot of uncertainty, and it requires a lot of faith. But I do believe that true intimacy can't be obtained without vulnerability. I had the honor in 2009 to lead a discipleship training school at Youth with a Mission, and I remember like the second day we all sat around and somehow the topic of vulnerability came up, or intimacy, something like that. And a friend of mine, she's still a friend now, Laura Spurgeon, now Perkins, she's married, out of the woodworks comes with this like incredible wisdom. And you could tell it made everybody uncomfortable, because people are uncomfortable with vulnerability. They're uncomfortable with this concept. But she said, intimacy was in to me, you see. And I believe that's what vulnerability is. It's allowing others to see you on a very intimate level. And it's incredible, because when you allow for yourself to be fully seen and fully accepted, your sense of belonging just increases, your sense of love for yourself increases, and your ability to love those around you increases. And like I said, vulnerability, all it is the process of being fully seen. With whatever capacity you're able. I'm not saying that right now all of a sudden everybody has to just go into the deepest, darkest parts of themselves and just divulge every little thing, because I do believe that God doesn't give us more than we can bear. And so there's grace in allowing yourself to go into these places and to feel, heal, and process. In the book of Mark it says that we're called to love our neighbors as ourselves. And I'm sure that you guys have heard people say you can only love those around you as much as you love yourself. And I do believe that to be true. And hear me when I say that doesn't mean that you can't have stuff to work through. I'm not talking about that. We're all going to have stuff to work through. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm not shaming you for that. But if you're unwilling to work on yourself, that's kind of what I'm talking about. If you're not willing to work on yourself, you aren't being authentic. And if you aren't being authentic, you probably don't believe that you're enough, or at least that you're not worthy of true love or belonging. Because really, believing that you're enough just gives you the courage to be imperfect. Those who have a strong sense of love and belonging have the courage to be imperfect. That's why I love kids. My daughters really don't give a flip what people think of them, because they have a strong sense of love and belonging. And I want to continue to cultivate that. And I just want to say to you guys as I'm closing here, just because someone was unable or unwilling to love you, it doesn't make you unlovable. That's something that I've had to learn in my personal life. I really don't think my parents in the beginning were capable or willing to love me the way they ought to love me, but it did not diminish my worthiness, and it did not diminish my God-given right to be loved. And I just also want to finish by saying and encouraging those of you who maybe struggle with shame to find somebody to share your story with, or to share aspects of your story with, because when you share your story with somebody who responds with empathy and understanding, shame can't exist. And I just want you guys to know that you're loved, and that there is nothing that you could have done that has been done to you that has diminished your right to be loved and to be accepted. So thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Again, I'd love your feedback. And yeah, thank you again. And I hope you guys hear from me soon.